Sylvester the Jester. You've heard the tales from days of old of famous queens and kings, of castles grand and questing knights and other wondrous things. But have you heard the splendid tale of jolly old Sylvester? He lived in England long ago, the kingdom's finest jester. Sylvester served the king and queen. He served them smiles and laughter. He juggled jugs and mugs and rugs and bowed politely after. He danced on stilts and played the flute. Oh, how he made the poor thing toot. He wore a jingly-tingly suit and dangled from a rafter. His greatest show came once a month, when every man and beast would gather on the castle lawn to join the royal feast. Oh, what a day of food and song. The knights played daring games. Sylvester made the rules, of course, and gave them silly names. A jousting match called Tickle Toes. You need a 10-foot feather. A target topple archery. To win, you must be clever. Then when the last of games were through, they gathered round the moat, and splash, they hopped in all at once to slosh and wash and float. This is how the royal feast was run by dear Sylvester, until one day he watched the crowd and something struck the jester. Oh dear, he told the king and queen, there's something awfully wrong. Those orange-spotted bingles, see, they're strange. They don't belong. The king and queen stood up and stared, and instantly they both declared, my boy, you're right. We must be spared. Please have them move along. And after that, a sign went up outside the castle wall. No orange-spotted bingles, please, it said, and that was all. The royal feast came soon again. Sylvester watched the crowd, and spying something very odd, he spoke his mind aloud. Oh, dearest queen, oh, grandest king, I notice now an awful thing. Those bingles there with hair like string, with curly cues that sprout in spring, they're odd as owls without a wing. They ought not be allowed. The king and queen forthright agreed, and so the castle sign decreed, no orange-spotted bingles, please, no curly-headed bingles, please, for everyone to read. Sylvester now surveyed his feast. His puffed-up pride was double, but when the king and queen looked down, he knew he was in trouble. Sylvester called the crooning king, I fear I have bad tidings. The queen and I are quite displeased by all these abiding. For there are bingles in this crowd with stout and skinny features, and normally we can't allow such odd, unhealthy creatures. Sylvester gazed upon his belt. His knees felt just like jelly, because he knew that he was stout, especially round the belly. So now Sylvester stood outside and read the castle sign. No orange-spotted bingles, please. No curly-headed bingles, please. No stout or skinny bingles, please. Then he shuffled down the hill and left his home behind. A month had passed, or maybe two, since he'd left the castle. Sylvester sat and mopped and moaned, tugging on a tassel. Then out of nowhere, through the sky, there roared a streak of fire, a dragon spouting streams of smoke. It growled and glided higher. It's heading for the castle walls, Sylvester gasped in fear. The king and queen will both be trapped. What shall I do? Oh, dear. It serves them right, snapped Sir Gawain, for he was orange-spotted. Who needs their kind, said Lady Lyd, and all the others nodded. The sky was now as black as soot, the castle lost in smoke. Sylvester struggled through the crowd, and angrily he spoke. Listen, please, for I'm to blame. 'Twas I who told the king that orange spots and curly hair were not a normal thing. I'm sorry for this sad mistake, for I was very wrong. It isn't spots or skin or hair, but hearts that make us strong. Now here's our chance to show the king just what we have inside, and that a bingle can't be judged by belly, hair, or hide. Now gather round, I have a plan. I think you'll find it keen. Together we can prove ourselves and save the king and queen. The dragon held the king and queen inside the banquet hall. He made them clean the cupboards bare while he devoured it all. He roasted rugs and chairs and stairs and piles of precious things, and now his fearsome fiery eyes were glaring at the king. Through the door Sylvester charged, the archers at his side. The dragon roared around into fight, and arrows held his hide. Suction cups clamped up his mouth and blinded both his eyes. He writhed and rumbled round the room, scratching at the skies. Now the jousting knights appeared, their feathers at the ready. The dragon swung his scaly tail, but all the knights held steady. They bore down on the ticklish toes. Their skill was so very clever. The dragon reeled away so fast he did not feel the window blast. The castle walls went rumbling past, till splash! He struck the moat at last and quenched his fire forever. The king and queen were overjoyed. They hugged and kissed Sylvester. "Oh, please forgive us," they implored. "Come back and be our jester." Bingles all allowed. From that day on, the king and queen made all the Bingles proud by putting up a sign that said, "Bingles all allowed." And at the royal feast you'll see everyone in Bingdom, for everybody plays a part in making up the kingdom. Accept one another just as Christ accepted you. Romans 15:7. The end.